Running 101.
Running 101.
Running 101.
Hello everyone, I'm Nads and welcome to another episode of Running 101. Oh my god, is it cold or what? Absolutely freezing at the moment. Yeah, I'm shivering as we speak. So, as always, a quick update from me. As I previously mentioned, besides the weekly park run, to be honest, I doubt I'll make it this Saturday based on the current forecast. I mean, you've got to draw the line somewhere, right? So along with that and the regular workout, I don't have much planned until 2026. My current aim is just to get a routine going, and that's what was missing a few years back. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm focusing on right now. So today's runner started early on, and I'm talking like before double digits. They joined an athletics club at the age of 9. A few years later, already decided and set their sights on one day running a marathon. Track, cross country, 550 kilometers from Everest to Kathmandu. We're talking jungles, spiders, satellite phones, all in 7 days. And yes, they did get to running marathons, 4 of them, in fact, plus 15 ultra marathons across the world. Lucy, welcome to Running 101.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No, thanks so much for putting some time aside and giving Running 101 a chance. How are things?
Yeah, good. Good. Super busy in the moment with work and training. But no, everything's going well. I think we're in that transition period where we've got the darker evenings and colder mornings, so it's definitely mixing up training a bit. Yeah, so I think it takes an extra push to get out training on these darker and colder nights.
Yeah, it's definitely taken a dramatic turn. I mean, over the last 2, 3 days. I mean, in the past, I have been told, like, what's with your weather forecast on this? But hey, everything rotates around the weather that we have, right? So
Yeah.
especially when it comes to running.
No, definitely. And I think in the winter months, the gym can also be your best friend, especially the treadmill.
Hmm.
Because I find it can just like on the icy morning, especially if you're doing a speed session, I sometimes just mix it up and we'll go on the treadmill.
I mean, you could either use an excuse like me and say I'm not just turning up to park run at all this Saturday, or I could go out and get a treadmill and that would cover my run on Saturday morning. But yeah, there's 2 minds to it, 2 types of people there. Otherwise, let's hear a bit about yourself.
In terms of work, I work for a foundation and I manage several programs under arts and culture. And then alongside that, I'm also an Artex ambassador, which I've been doing for 4 years now. So hosting monthly run clubs from the Piccadilly and Battersea store. And also, yeah, representing the running community through the run club, but also representing the brand. And then my main passion is running, so trail running and road running. So running's always been a part of my life, and it always goes alongside. Growing up at school, I was also did lots of running and was always in sports teams. So I found my running gave me really good fitness to play hockey, lacrosse, also swim. So sport has always been a big part of my life, but I'd say throughout my 20s, it's gone alongside my work. But it's just about fitting it in, but also making sure that I fit in the trail races and the road running goals because, yeah, like I've been running since I was 9 or 10. So it feels always a natural part of my life. And I guess I couldn't live without it.
So it's like, I mean, it's everything's planned around that, I guess, right? Your regular routine, whether that be work and any time off that you have is all planned around that too.
Yes, exactly. I would say a good measure of if I'm in a good routine or I've got a good balance with everything is how well my training's going. Because if I can't fit my training in, then I'm like not got my priorities, if that makes sense. It means I need to like assess where, because if you don't have time for like your fitness, that's when I know if I'm in a good routine. And I think what helps keeping that routine and staying in that routine is putting a race plan in place. So I always work well with putting races in the diary, then working towards that. And then when we were talking about the weather change, I find when it's like a colder evening, what helps me is thinking of the long-term goal, which is whether it's a race in 2 to 3 months or in the middle of a marathon block. It's the small daily wins, I think, which I look at because I know that end goal, like you're going to get to the start line of that race and everything's shown on race day. You can't hide from lack of training, or other things will come into it, obviously, like your nutrition might not go well on race day, but I find, on that start line if you're in a good place or not. There's no other way of getting to the finish line without putting the work in, if you said it me.
Yeah, no, sure. So you said you started like early on, and yeah, you did share like 9, 10 years old. But and sport's always been a part of your life, like you said from the very beginning. But how did that all come into place? I mean, do you have like family members involved,
Yeah.
or like okay, you do.
Yes, so I would say I've got a very competitive family, and I'm from a big family, so I've got 5 sisters. So
Wow.
we're all, I know, we're all very close in age. We're all 2 years apart. So I think my parents got us into sport at an early age, probably to like get us out of the house, but to
I
burn
was just
energy.
going to say, what can we do to like get them out of the way?
Exactly, and burn our energy. And I know I was a very hyper child, so I think my parents sent me and my older sisters to an athletics club, and then I think we were just competitive with each other, and then we got into sport at school, and then I think that running passion just came about, and then I continued it post school into my professional working life. Yeah.
And what was it like at I mean, to be honest, you probably can't tell the difference because you were in it from such a young age, right? But
Yeah.
competing in like track, cross country, I guess you always had the competitive edge from like the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. And I think that comes from probably having lots of siblings, like being naturally competitive and then having a competitive family. So I think I learned probably, I would say early on when I was doing even biathlons at my school, and then also competing at a high level in track and cross country, I think the competitive side came in, but also learning to deal with the race pressure. So I think I learned that at a young age of how to cope with that pressure, but also how to come up with like what works best for me on race day, whether that's like getting into the zone is really important. And I think I've learned that just from experience over the years, from doing lots of races from a young age.
No, I guess it helps, right? And basically, you were able to build on that quite early on, quite like much earlier than a lot of other people, I would say. And yeah, till today, when you're still in that competitive space, whether that be like an ultra marathon or just a marathon, even something like I don't know, a 10K all the way to a half marathon, that probably helps because you're already automatically just fixed in the zone whenever you want to be, because it's just like automatic for you, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference between running when I was younger and now is there was a lot more competing in age groups growing up, and then obviously school sports teams. So it was very much like team sport, but also competing in an age group. Whereas I'd say now I'm almost more competitive with myself and like say like a previous race. Definitely in road running, like with you, with your marathon running, you find you're always trying to go for a quicker time than last time. So in a way, it's almost competitive with myself. I think I like to set like goals and almost, prove to myself that I can get that goal.
And I think that's a positive way of taking it, rather than worrying about anyone else's time. Just focus on your own and try to do your own time if that's what you're going for, because otherwise you're just setting yourself up for like the chances are you might be able to beat your own time, but it's very unlikely that you can always keep up and beat someone else's.
Yeah, exactly. But they say comparison is the thief of like joy, isn't it?
If we were to go back a bit, like at the age of 12, what happened where you decided that, okay, you know what, I'm definitely going for a marathon one day?
So I was inspired early on by Paula Radcliffe when I saw her run the London Marathon. I think that was a big moment for me because I saw her as my role model growing up in the running world.
Hmm.
And then I actually wrote to her around that age, and she sent me a letter back with her autographs. I think she inspired me
Well,
from a young age.
that's pretty cool. That's nice of her to do, actually, I would say, yeah. And how does it feel when you're out there? And we'll go through your accomplishments and achievements shortly, but when you're out there now, and so is she. Like, she came back this year, didn't she? So
Yeah, she did.
yeah. So how does that feel?
Yeah, I guess looking at her career, I find it really inspiring because I think her record got beaten, but I think up until a few years ago, she was the fastest road marathon time at about, is it 2:15, 2:16? I think that's been beaten now, but I
Mhm.
think it's really interesting seeing how now she's coming back. And I think she did two or three world majors this year, and she was still running, I think, around 2:50, which I think is really impressive. But yeah, so I guess it's nice seeing that she's come back into the sport, but also she's run her best times, obviously, several years ago. It still shows how important the sport is to her, and she's still out there running. And I think that's something that I will always do, even
Mm.
after my PB days are done.
Yeah, no, it's good to see that she was not only able to come back, but she's still like, still hitting good times. Like
Yeah, and
a
she's
lot
in
of
her
people,
50s.
yeah, exactly. A lot of people
I
much
know,
younger than her find it
I
hard
know,
enough to get close to those times.
I know. It's so impressive.
So, like we mentioned, we'd go into your achievements. You've got quite a few. Let me see if I can try to summarize what you've got. Like, we covered a few in the intro, but you've got Everest Base Camp to come and do. So, like, how did that come about?
Yeah, so that was in 2022.
Hmm.
I trekked to Everest Base Camp, which was about a 5 to 7 day trek where you slowly acclimatize, and then got to base camp. And then the plan was to run back to Kathmandu on foot because the normal route, if you're doing base camp, is you'll do base camp to Lukla. So Lukla is the airport where you fly from Kathmandu. So that's the average trek route. So when I got to Lukla, instead of flying back, we did the original jungle route, which Edmund Hillary did when he originally summited Everest. So it's all the way from Kathmandu to Everest Base Camp on foot, roughly around 500 kilometers, and it took 6 days. So
Wow.
and when we got out of the Kumbi Valley region, you really see Nepal out of the tourist region. Like, it was amazing. It was jungle, and then also all the old tea houses which were on the original route. So yeah, that was an amazing experience.
If we were to step away from that for a second,
Hmm.
so when was your first marathon?
So 2021 was the London Marathon. Yeah, when I was 23, I did. That was in the October because it got delayed
It
by
was the first
COVID.
one after COVID, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, that was amazing. So I'd actually done the distance in an ultra
Mm.
before, so I knew psychologically, I knew I could do the distance. But yeah, the road marathon was a whole different experience because obviously
The crowd, the vibes,
yeah,
running through the city of London, all the sights that you must have taken in and everything.
yeah, it was amazing. And I ran for Young Epilepsy.
Oh, right, that's a
Um,
charity. Okay, great.
yeah, so I raised over £5,000 for that. So that was amazing. Also being part of the
Good
charity I was
stuff. No,
running.
really, really good achievement there. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So obviously, like Lucy, you started running at such a young age, and then you've built your way up, and definitely the endurance is there, no doubt. But you were running prior to COVID, right? And then coming
Hmm.
back and then running your first marathon after COVID. Have you seen that change? Have you noticed anything that might have changed? The reason I asked that question is because for me, running for me started in 2020. So I've
Hmm.
only seen what you might call a change as being the norm for me. But I mean, commercially, we're talking about community, we're talking about representation. people from all sorts of backgrounds, abilities. Have you picked up on it over the years? And how do you feel
Yeah,
about that?
I would say there's definitely been a shift post lockdown, and I think a big influence on that was during lockdown. But there were things that you could only leave the house once a day if it was
Mm,
like shopping or a form of exercise. And I feel people really started to see in lockdown, because everyone was cooped up, the benefit of exercise. Whereas I think before that, some people would think I was crazy doing a long run or
yeah.
running altogether. But I think post lockdown, there's definitely been a positive view on running. And I think the community angle of it as well. I think what's massively shifted that is a lot of brands are now seeing the strength in investing in the community. And I've seen that firsthand with Artex
Mm.
from early 2022 when we started the Run Club from the Covent Garden store, and then moving on to the Battersea store in Piccadilly. There's just a real community feeling around running. And I think what's really positive is it seems like everyone's almost willing to try it, or the social side of Run Club makes it seem more inclusive. And let's say on the dark nights, like you saw last night at Run Club,
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to
yeah,
say, yeah.
yes, how like I spoke to a few girls there, and they were saying several things like, oh, I find it really hard to train in winter and in the dark, but coming along to Run Club, running with other people really helps get me out and train. So I think, yeah, I think brands getting behind big community events like how we've got the Artex Run Club, investing back into that community and also growing it, I think that's definitely made more people try running as well, because it's more a social
Mm.
aspect. Like people are like, oh, I'll go along to a run club tonight, and then it seems less. I think it seems less intimidating than what it seemed before lockdown was very much like the athletics club style of training, and I can appreciate how that can be an intimidating environment to go into.
A few things that you just mentioned there. So one thing was in regards to the only thing we could do during like lockdown COVID times was just go out for a walk, go out for a run, just try to keep some kind of physical exercise going. And
Hmm.
maybe we all took our freedom for granted before, right? That's one thing that maybe we
Yeah.
did prior to that. Another thing was trying to train during the winter time, saying they find that quite difficult. Honestly, after going through a training
Hmm.
block in the summer, I would take a winter one anytime. I mean, right now I've got the sniffles and everything, but yeah, I would take this point at any time and stuff too. And yes, point number three, um, just last night, like you're saying, like the run club, good
Hmm.
turnout, big turnout, and it's nice to see people from all kinds of abilities there, not obviously following some kind of training regime and stuff. This is all they've got going for them, and yeah, they do turn out.
Yeah, I think I've even noticed the last 4 years of hosting the Run Club with Artex how I really enjoy following people's running journeys. And there's a few people that have come to my Run Club early, like right at the beginning, and now they got in doing like, let's say maybe a 10K, and now they've done like a ultra in the Alps back in September. Now they're working up to a long-term goal being an Ironman. So I really like watching that transition. And I think that's why the community angle, which has grown around running, has been really nice, because it seems to create almost like a team element, whereas running can be very much individual, especially when you're in your own training plan. So I think, yeah, it's a massive benefit that big brands have got behind that to help grow that community. And then I think obviously another big factor is the power of social media. That's definitely increased the trend of running.
I mean, to be honest, if anything, that's one thing that you would know being like a brand ambassador and stuff too. You've been there when they brought that change in place, and obviously, from time to time, you're pacing. I've joined the run club too,
Mhm.
like you mentioned last night as well, and it was a good three groups that we had there: the speedsters, those in the
Mhm.
mediocre space, and those who just wanted to take their time and have a conversational pace run. So, and I think that's one thing Artrix is doing really well in terms of their run club. I'm glad to be a part of that.
Nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We're hoping to relaunch in 2026, which will be
Mm.
good. And then go through the summer when it's like, yeah, better weather.
Yeah, no, definitely. Around the summertime, can't beat it. I mean, we did 10K a couple of months ago. You might remember. You led us on that. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think. like you say, with the different pace groups as well. I think the run club feels like a really friendly environment to turn up in whatever level or ability you are. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps in the way where someone just finds their space and they can confidently just say, you know what, I just feel like doing this today, so I'm just going to hang around with those who kind of want to take their time and stuff. I won't
Hmm.
use the word slow. I'll just say just wanted to have a bit of a networking session, just keep it
Hmm.
social, keep it relaxed, and that's exactly what you did.
Yeah. The other angle of having, yeah, like you said, the social element of the run club, because often if like when you did your marathon plan for Berlin, it can, yeah, sometimes be very much just like lots of training on your own. Whereas I think if you're, let's say, a great thing if you're in a marathon block or a training block for anything specific is to include a run club on one of your maybe steady run evenings, and then it brings a social aspect into it if you aren't part of a club. Because obviously a marathon block can be a very long journey, and I think it's
Yeah.
also good to include the social element of it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like yourself, the other brands are doing the exact same thing as well, which really helps because it keeps it inclusive, keeps
Hmm.
the communities together, and it's really engaging at the same time too. Touch base on advice and everything. Like we've shared a few questions here and there, just to
Hmm.
see what how you might have trained previously when you did. I mean, I know you ran London earlier this year too. But
Hmm.
yeah, just to discuss on how you would go about your training too. So it's always a good place to share some advice. All that really helps, touching base with people who have been there and done that. So, Lucy, you mentioned in regards to training a bit. So, how do you train? Like, how do you go about following your regular routine?
So I often I'll try and look 2 or 3 months ahead and think, um, or let's say I'm already thinking of goals in 2026 I'd like to achieve. But to think of my training plan, I often
Mm.
map out roughly what races I'd want to achieve. And then I would then work backwards. And let's say if I had a spring marathon lined up, I would start to put in the work now, and make sure I'm running at least let's say 3 to 5 times a week. And that's mapping it around work and other commitments. So being realistic with when I can train, and definitely, like I said, making the most of the weekend. So training on a Saturday and Sunday. So I would often rest on a Monday, do a speed session on a Wednesday, maybe a steady run on a Wednesday, Thursday, potentially another speed session, and then Friday is most often a rest day, and then it would be training Saturday and Sunday. So I would always use the Sunday as my long run day. Um,
Do you usually formulate your own plans?
yes, I'm not part of a club.
Hmm.
I would just write out roughly my own plan, and then week by week look at what commitments I have, whether that's work commitments or other commitments. I try and be realistic with, oh, when can I get that session in? Do I need to jig things around? Because I think one thing which is important when you're doing a marathon plan or a training plan is
Hmm.
not being too strict with it. And
Yeah.
if you're meant to do a speed session on a Tuesday, but you can't do it, it needs to be moved to a Wednesday. I think the flexibility is important and not get too caught up in, oh, I missed this session, I'm off track. I think it's important to be realistic. So I think doing my own training plans and training by myself does often take, yeah, it can be a lot more to like get yourself, let's say, like out there training. But I think that's why I love putting races in, because I do love running, but also if I put the longer goal term in, that keeps me like motivated, like, yeah, to like see the long term goal and get out there training, even if I've had a busy week at work.
I think it's important to be able to have that flexibility in there
Hmm.
and not be so I don't know, don't get so worked up or disheartened if you go off your plan slightly too. Funny enough, you
Exactly.
say that. I was giving someone the same advice yesterday. It's funny, right? You go for 2 marathons and suddenly you think you can start offering advice to people. But yes, that's kind of like what I was sharing with them yesterday. I
Hmm.
said, well, you're going for your first marathon.
Yeah.
You just take it easy and just relax and just enjoy it. But at the same time, don't get so upset or worked up if you miss a session here and there, and that could be the easy run or
Hmm.
tempo or the long run as well. One thing that I do advise, and do correct me if I'm wrong here, because you absolutely can, is I wouldn't miss the stretching and the strength training. I feel that
Oh
that is
yeah.
far more important than going for that run, whether it be a tempo or a long run, or maybe a long run you should try not to miss because you probably just have the one during the week. But yeah, I would definitely give up an easy or a tempo if I had missed out on strength training to catch up on that. What would you say?
Yeah, I think definitely in terms of marathons, I think like especially road marathons, the strength work is so important just because the amount of mileage you're doing and also the impact on your joints doing those runs. And also I think hit sessions are also really important. When I trained for my second marathon where I went sub 3, I think that was yeah, I feel I did a lot of mileage on that, and I think the hit sessions that I would do weekly alongside that, and also core strength, I think that's
Mm,
like your best friend towards the end of the race, because when your form starts to go a bit because you're tired, I think that's really where the strength work comes in towards the end. But like you say, you have to put a lot of work into it because as a like I can get out the door and run, but it definitely takes more to go to the gym and do the strength work. I don't know if
sure.
yeah, you found the same in your Berlin block.
Yeah, no, I mean it's the boring part of running, I would say.
Mhm.
But if you're looking at things for the long run, that is a fundamental part that you need to incorporate into your regular
Yeah.
routine or your plan if you're working towards like a half and beyond, I would say. Because you brought it up, your marathon, which was sub 3, that was 2:58 in Florence, right? That's the one we're
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah.
So how did you go about training to get a sub 3? Yeah, let's go into that.
So the marathon has always been one of my dreams and goals, but I think it was always my goal to do a marathon, and then I think once I did that, my goal was then to get a sub 3, and I just had this feeling that I knew if I put the work in, I could achieve it. So I think there's a lot of self-belief there, as in like a goal. It was like a dream, basically, to go sub 3 on the road marathon. So I think then I was like, right, how do I go about that? And I think one thing I really enjoyed in that training block was because Florence was November time, it meant
Mm,
that I did a summer training block, which I think I really enjoyed because it was good weather, lighter evenings. So I worked mostly for that block with working on my speed initially. So
mhm,
getting my 5K time down, because I always tick over with running. But when I go into that marathon block, I started with making sure I had the speed. So doing lots of speed sessions and not too much mileage, but just working on that mile pace, because at the end of the day, you've got to be able to run the marathon on race day. Your pace should feel I don't want to say easy, but it should feel relaxed. So the initial start of that block was focusing on the speed and then introducing more mileage and then incorporating things like hills and then the Sunday long run, which is a massive, obviously, component of a marathon block. So that block involved, just mapping it around work. I was probably running 4 or 5 times a week, but one thing I never slacked on was the Sunday run. Yes, I know some people do their long run on a Saturday, but I've always done it on a Sunday.
You don't want to change something up like that, do you? I mean, if it works for
Yes.
you and you've always done it, you
Yeah.
get kind of, I don't know, superstitious is not the word, but you just don't want to
Hmm.
break something that's working for you, right? So you
Yeah,
just keep going.
exactly. Like it feels weird if I don't do
Yeah,
a
yeah.
run on a Sunday. It just doesn't feel right.
Did you suit the type of training you did knowing what the course would be like, or that's just your regular way of training?
So when you say
I
course, you
mean,
mean,
when you choose the route that you're going to follow for your long run and stuff, is that
oh,
just the regular long run that you do?
so I would say I did a lot of it on the road, and then I then towards the end started to do a lot of my higher mileage on the
Hmm.
trail to try and take impact off, but also, yeah, I think to ease the impact on my knees, I would try and do my, let's say, my long run um, on trail rather than road, and then making sure that the tempo runs are on the road where I got the speed.
Yeah, sure.
And then, yeah, the hills were on the road as well, actually. A lot of that block was mostly running. It sounds strange, but it was mostly training faster than race pace and
Mhm.
then running slow at race pace. So then on the day, it felt like a good in between where I just sat at one rhythm for, yeah, 42K.
I guess by practice you focus more on the tempo.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so.
Over the years, any injuries that you've had to deal with and have always incorporated some form of training to help support with that injury?
Yeah, so I got a knee injury actually after my first marathon, which took me out for about three 3 to 4 months where I wasn't really doing any heavy mileage. Um,
Mm.
so post that, what I think really helped was I had lots of sessions with a PT working on certain exercises to get my quad strength up.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that was tough being out for 3 or 4 months. It wasn't enjoyable.
I bet. Do you think that's something that you would advise too, like to seek help, to seek that advice? Was that helpful for you? And you'd probably advise anyone else to do the same when they're hit with an injury?
Yeah, I think the first thing is definitely go to a physio and get it assess exactly what the injury is, and then they can often set out a plan. And then I think also if you're unsure on certain gym equipment or your plan, I think a PT is always a good way to go. Because
Mm.
it can also keep you in a good routine, but also yeah, I think it's good sometimes having advice on things to use in the gym to work on that
Mm.
strength.
And just going back to the injury stuff that we were talking about, like I hope you're done and you've got nothing, nothing more to share beyond that knee injury. But you done ultra marathons before your marathon, right?
Yes.
So how does it happen that you was it the training that might have set you off and you were likely to hit that injury during the actual marathon on race day, or was it just like an oversight or something that wasn't really part of the ultra marathon training as such?
I think in the first marathon block, it was probably just a lack of strength work and I was going too hard on the
Mm,
miles. And then that's why when
mm.
my second marathon came around for Florence, when I had to up the mileage towards the end of the block, I would then opt for, doing a trail run to take that impact off. So I think the first time around was definitely a lack of strength. And now I've learned that you can't take that for granted. You've got to do it
Yeah.
alongside the mileage.
Well, 316 to 258, that's shaving off 18 minutes right there. That shows what the strength training does, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
might sound like a small proportion of what the actual marathon's made of, but hey, that's if that's what it takes to shave off that amount of time, that's a big achievement right there.
Yeah, I think another thing is massively the nutrition as well. I got that
Mm,
like
true, of course, of course.
quite down compared to the 316. I got into a really good routine, not only racing with gels, but making sure to train with them. That massively helps, especially over that distance.
Yeah, so how do you go about I mean, do you have one particular brand that you go with and you're just set on that now and because it works, that's what you use? Or before you went for your first marathon, what was it like? I mean, was there a bit of trial and error included in that as well?
Yes, I would say growing up when I was doing track and cross country, I didn't use any form of
Of course, yeah, sure, sure.
gels, so it almost felt unnatural to be consuming gels while racing. So I definitely had to get used to that. But I think the training, definitely doing it in training helped with that. And I've always stuck with the science and sport gels since I've been using them like probably almost 7 years now. I've just moved around the flavors so they don't get boring.
Yeah.
I think I
And
started.
okay, so you carry a few different flavors with you, right? So it's just
Yes,
you're hitting a new note each time. Let's just say it that
exactly.
way.
Like when you're
Right.
20K into a marathon, you're going through the pain,
Yeah.
you can at least enjoy the flavor of the gel.
Yeah. No, true. I mean, so when I ran London earlier this year, I just had the same flavor in my pocket. So, oh my God, when
Oh
I
no,
hit,
no.
well, yeah, exactly. Oh my God, it's right. When I hit, what was it? 30K.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to take any more after that. I
Oh.
was just sick and tired of it. And as much as I needed it, I
Hmm.
was thinking, okay, you know what? I just want water. And it was hot that day too. I mean, you remember, it was really,
Yes.
it was really hot, and dehydration was definitely like on top of the list of things going wrong for everyone. I think
Hmm.
I just wanted water. But the thing is, one thing that I did learn is you need a variety of flavors in your pocket,
Yeah.
especially if you're taking them every, like, I don't know, every 5K to every 7K.
Yeah, that's roughly the same with me. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think what you say, roughly every 5K, I'd take the gels. Some of you end up just having to force them down. It's not enjoyable, but you need the fuel. When I did Florence Marathon, I even had one the last mile
Oh
because
man.
I was like, nothing's gonna cost me getting
Yeah,
sub
you wanted
three.
that sub 3.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like, I
okay,
need
that's
the
it.
energy right until the end.
Nice. Well, hey, it worked out. That's the main thing. Lucy, obviously, I've mentioned this a few times too. You've been running for a while, right?
Hmm.
I've come into the space, well, it's been 5 years now. The majors is a big thing that's thrown at you when you come into this running space.
Hmm.
How come you haven't gone for them? I mean, I'm not saying you should have. I'm just saying, I guess it doesn't appeal to you as much, or you're just taking your time, right?
I think what it is I would love to do all of the majors, but for me, let's say why I really enjoyed Florence and Rome Marathon when I did it, because it's like a smaller field, and it often feels less pressure as well. That was really nice. Like how I went and did Florence, there was only like 3 or 4 thousand people that did it. It felt very low pressured. The crowds weren't massive, so it felt like a really nice environment just to get into the zone. Whereas I would say, if I'm honest, when I did London this year, there were so many people running and also the crowds. I found it does throw off focus a bit. So I guess I would definitely love to do I would definitely love to do a world major like Boston or New York. But I think at the moment when I'm still trying to get those times, I don't mind just doing a more low key marathon.
I find that quite inspiring at the same time too, because like I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, coming into this space when I did, and I'm sure you would agree by that, it's thrown at you heavily because
Yeah.
that's what everyone's thinking about, that's what they want to go for, and no one's thinking about it the way you just mentioned, which is you're just happy to go for that local sort of marathon,
Yeah.
to put your effort in, to just keep your focus straight, get that output of that time or that result that you want. And that just satisfies you and that's what keeps you happy.
Yeah. And not get too distracted. Someone's just nice, just getting in the zone and getting the goal.
Like you mentioned, you've qualified for Boston. So that in itself is something to be quite proud of. And that's
Hmm.
an achievement itself.
Yeah, we'll see what 2026 brings.
Yeah. Lucy, what makes you go again?
Running's such a massive part of my life. I honestly don't think I can live without it. And I think, let's say with the marathon, for example, I was so proud of that sub 3 when I got 2:58, but I know there's so much more in the tank. Just knowing that I know I can get a quicker time, that's I know I'm not done in terms of PBs and maybe upping the ultra distance.
What does it do for you? What boxes does it tick? I mean, if I was to tell you it's my outlet, it helps me de-stress
Hmm.
majorly. Just gives me that time one-on-one with myself.
No, I love that. And I think I'm the same as well. Like you say, it helps with all sorts of things like managing stress if you've had like a busy day at work, but also it's a way to switch off. Like, I don't know if you run with headphones, but I often find I don't go out with my phone or headphones. I find it's for the one part of the day I'm not looking at a screen or where I can fully switch off. And I think running to me is almost as important as a good night's sleep. Yeah, it's a great form of exercise, but also on a day-to-day basis, a really important part of my life to de-stress, switch off, but also recharge.
Absolutely. Just to throw in there, I leave my phone behind too. It's my way of disconnecting and my way of no one being able to reach out to me either, or that's an interruption in my run, right? So that's the reason I don't
Yes,
take it with me. I
exactly.
mean, to be honest, someone has told me before, a few people have actually, that how can you do that? Don't you want to be contactable in case something goes wrong? I'm like, if it's supposed to go wrong, it's going to go wrong. I think I'll be okay. Just give me that half an hour where no one can reach out to me if they need to and stuff, right? So, yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's important. Some people think it's crazy not running with music or a phone, but I think it's so peaceful.
What would you advise someone who is starting today? Someone who's come to you and they're just about to start. The first piece of advice you'd give them.
Okay. Don't get caught up in all the noise of thinking, oh, I need this nutrition, or I need this pack, or I need these trainers. I think it could be as simple as you go and join a park run on a Saturday. Like, I'm a massive believer in the park runs, which are all across the country at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I think they're really inclusive spaces if you want to get into build like a 5K. I think that's a really good place to build up to or to start at, because a park run you can turn up and you don't have to run all of it, but there's people of all paces, and I feel like it's a really inclusive way to get into running, and just working your way up to maybe doing the whole distance. Yeah, so I'd say suggest people go along to park runs or a run club. Yeah, where it's like a friendly environment, like the one I host with art
I was
directors.
just going to say, I don't know of any friendly ones. Do you know any that you would want to share with people out there?
Yeah, I was so the one I've been hosting with Arturx, we often do between 5 and 7K. So yeah, I try and encourage people to come along to that, because as you mentioned, the one that you came to last night, it was around 5K, but there was like 3 or 4 different paces.
Yeah.
So you can come along, you can choose whatever pace you want. And I think, yeah, that's a way to get into it. Then meet other people you can run with, and maybe you might have shared goals. So yeah, I'd definitely suggest the run club angle, the park run angle, just taking it slow and building like a really strong base fitness. And yeah, and not getting intimidated thinking you need all the gear. Yeah, in the social media world, you can get caught up in thinking that you need all of this just to get out the door.
Sounds good. Okay. What have you got planned for 2026 and or beyond?
Yeah, so for 2026, I've got the Arc of Attrition at the end of January, which is a 50K in Cornwall, which I'm currently in a block for. So I'm really looking forward to that. I actually did it in January of this year, so it'd be to beat that time and just go out and see what I can do.
What was your time this year?
4 hours and 1 minute, which is frustrating.
Aiming for sub 4 now.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be too difficult, right?
Close to 3:30.
Oh, wow. Okay, right.
We shall see.
No, all the best. Good stuff.
Yeah, and then I think definitely I would love to get a marathon lined up for next year, a road marathon. And then also I've got a race in Snowdonia in May. I'm thinking of lining up a spring marathon. That would be to beat my current time. I think that would be the goal, is to make sure that I'm in the right shape to go for a PB.
No, good stuff. All the best with that, and hopefully it all goes according to plan.
Thank you. Have you got marathon lined up for next year?
No. So having run both London and Berlin this year, I'm just taking a back seat for 2026.
Okay.
The plan is to just find a consistent place in terms of strength training and the regular running. I've got a few things signed up, 1 or 2 10Ks, and I am running the big half next year. That's like the event of the year for me next year.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it.
No.
Lucy, I'm going to say thank you so much for your time. Honestly, it's been great to touch base on what's brought you so far from starting on so early as well. Quite a lot of achievements there. We haven't been able to deep dive into all of them, but with your experience, with the way that you've built your way up, and no doubt that journey can definitely inspire many others to continue and keep going too, regardless of when they started, regardless of where they are right now. If you're not done, you're not done, and it's good to set nice goals and open milestones as well. So well done on that, and thank you so much once again.
No, thank you so much for having me. And I think also it just shows the power of the running community, because that's how we came across each other as well.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
sharing stories, sharing goals. Thank you.
Thanks all for joining in for another episode of Running 101. Fingers crossed we'll be touching base again very soon. Look after yourself. Take care.